Speaking of playing golf, Eric Warfield, former Chiefs defensive back, joins us on the show right now, and he's literally just coming off a golf course. Eric, how'd you play today?
Good thing it was a scramble, so I couldn't say that I played well.
Well, I got to imagine, having played for the Chiefs and having played at University of Nebraska, that you get invited to a lot of alumni events over the course of the summer months to play some golf.
And it has definitely made me a fan of the game, because before then, I hated the game of golf. I hated going out, the sun, the challenges of trying to hit this little ball, and dealing with people. I hate everything about it, but now I love everything about it.
Dealing with people. Put that on the list.
Exactly.
Well, that when I started trying to play when I was a kid, my brother and I and a couple of friends would go play what used to be called Winbrook up by Parkville. Now it's the National. They tore it down and built the National on top of it, which is fine. And we didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't do golf lessons. We just dragged our clubs out there, and the marshals hated us because we didn't know what we were doing. And not until a few years ago did I really kind of, when I was able to play, as my kids have gotten older, I enjoy playing with them. And one of them asked me last year, I think, why do you like to play golf? And I said, because this is the one sport, when I'm an old man and I'm 75, we can still play together, because I won't be throwing baseballs or footballs anymore. This is it. So this is a game you can play the rest of your life, Eric.
That is so true. And, when I first moved to Dallas, I started at this course way out in nowhere. I don't know the name of the town, but it was right on the outskirts of Dallas. So I'm out there by myself, and these three old guys are behind me playing golf, and they're 70-plus to 80-plus. So there's you play quite a bit by yourself. And I was like, well, I just moved here, so I don't really know anybody here, so yes. So they invited me to come out to play with them the next day, and I'm not good at all. And they're like, we play a little skins game, so it's not that much. Put $20 in the pot, and we do a few side bets if you want. And so I see these guys hidden behind me, and always they're way back short. But I never noticed them because, I'm in front. But I just noticed that they're far back. And all of a sudden, I took their invite, showed up the next day and played with them. Man, they must have ran me for $200 that day.
Eric, they saw you coming a mile away.
A mile away. And I'm out there just trying to kill the ball every single time. They hit it down the fairway, 150, maybe 200 yards.
Oh.
Get on the green, they're putting, they're par and everything, and I'm just scrambling trying to find a bogey.
They saw you coming with the brand new golf clothing outfits, the brand new clubs. Okay, let's take this guy.
They hooked me real quick.
We're speaking with former Chiefs defensive back Eric Warfield. 8 seasons with the Chiefs, Eric? Did I do my math right?
Yep,
and a bunch of 20 interceptions. I always wanted an intercepted football. I thought I might get one from you when I was back in the Metro Sports days, but it didn't happen. But now in retirement, you're doing great stuff. You've got this Chief Concerns podcast that you do with Jason Dunn, who I know is still a fan favorite, former Chiefs defensive end. Marcus Dash hosted. So you're covering the team now with this podcast. We're less than a week away from the opening of the season. Kind of broad strokes, your impression about this team after 3 preseason games in a training camp as we go into week 1 against the Cleveland Browns.
I mean, I'm excited. There's no way you can't be excited about the Chiefs. I like the improvements that we've made to beef up the offensive line, and we have great depth there also. I like the transition of moving Chris Jones from inside to outside. The secondary, I thought we were pretty good last year, and you got two good safeties. One rated the best safety in the game in Tyrann Mathieu, but I thought Sorensen had a really good season last year. So the corners played well. Now, if we just had enough pressure from the defensive line, I think we could have done a lot better than what we did in the Super Bowl. But not granted, I don't think it was just based upon what the defense did and didn't do. I know our offensive line was beat up, and Tampa Bay was kind of, taking their shots on our quarterback as best they could. So we didn't have a productive offense that we were accustomed to. So I'm excited about this year.
Hey, Eric, Sterling Holmes here. As a former cornerback, which corner are you most excited for? Who do you think has the most potential? Because a lot of these guys are extremely young. L'Jarius Sneed going to his second season. Charvarius Ward, very young. Obviously, DeAndre Baker, Mike Hughes. Who are you most looking forward to seeing?
I mean, I like Ward and Sneed. Ward has got the most experience right now because of Sneed's injury. Thornhill had a nice interception in the last game. And I mean, they're all good, but the one that I'm looking for most improvements from is Ward because he's got a full year under his belt as a starter. I thought he played really well. Had a few hiccups, but you're going to have those. But yeah, I think he'll probably. I'm gonna give him 6 interceptions this year.
Ooh,
is what I can see him taking. So and
that is bold, Eric Warfield. Bold.
I'm just. If Chris Jones does what I think he's going to do, I think the pressure is going to amount to our secondary taking full advantage of what, that front seven is able to create. I like Bolton coming in as a young linebacker, able to get in certain gaps, be in the backfield a lot, his speed, to be able to drop back in coverage. But I just think that the key piece for us right now is Chris Jones coming off that edge.
Do you think that was a smart move? Because I'm not going to lie. When I saw Chris Jones moving predominantly to defensive end, I have some concerns because, again, quickest way to a quarterback, straight line up the middle. Chris Jones is the second best interior defensive lineman in the NFL. What's he going to be at D end? Is he going to be a top 5, top 10, top 15? I have some questions. Just to me, moving a guy from his best position doesn't make a ton of sense. How do you think it plays out? With sack numbers up, sack numbers down, pressures up, pressures down? What does Chris Jones do?
From what I think I understand, I think we're going to play him like Aaron Donald played. Teams have to double team Aaron every single play. And so in order to keep the double teams down, they kind of move him with inside the line. They don't know whether he's going to play left defensive end, right defensive end, or defensive tackle. And I think we're going to mostly I think we'll play Chris maybe right end instead of left and right, and still keep him up in the defensive tackle. The big guy that we brought in from Seattle, Jarran
Reed.
Jarran Reed.
Yep.
I think he's solid. I think he's good enough to hold the defensive line. He's good enough to add pressure. Now, he won't be a Chris Jones. I'm not saying he's a Chris Jones. I think he's good enough to hold the line to where we can move Chris inside out. We don't want to just leave him outside on the defensive end. I don't want that. I like having the transition of being able to move him around to keep some of the double teams off of him and to be able to take advantage of maybe a tight end is lined up on that side at one point, or the tackle is unsure of who's coming at him. So I like having him on the move.
We're speaking with former Chiefs defensive back Eric Warfield here. Played 8 seasons for the Kansas City Chiefs, had 20 picks. Now co-host of the podcast Chief Concerns, which he does with Jason Dunn and Marcus Dash, keeping in touch with the fans and the community and sharing his thoughts. You mentioned you're looking forward to Charvarius Ward and L'Jarius Sneed. Much like Charvarius Ward did the year before, L'Jarius Sneed seemed to come in last year and just fit right in with what the Chiefs wanted to do. And as Nate Bukaty mentions all the time on the morning show here, the Chiefs have a very specific size in mind for their corners and safeties, and it's within about 2 to 3 inches. And if you don't fall in there, you don't fit. And so L'Jarius Sneed fits right in there and has the athletic skills to do exactly what they want him to do.
Exactly. But, he's able to move inside, outside, and if we need it, he's able to play safety. He's just that type of a player that, can play anywhere. Very athletic. Awareness is very high. He just had the injury that kept him from fulfilling a good career. Not a good career, but just a good season. So I'm definitely excited about having him back. He is a really good fit, and the best part is able to play him at nickel, and you can play him at corner. So, and I know that early in the season, or not season, but off season, there was talk of him being able to play safety if needed.
We're speaking with Eric Warfield. You mentioned being able to play a nickel. I got to ask you, Eric, if you watched the offenses unfold over the last 3 to 5 years, whether it's the Chiefs, the Rams, just teams, the Packers, teams that just open things up, are teams basically in nickel or dime nearly 100% of the time now? Are there
Pretty much.
Are there any more base formations, or is that just only if we know they're going to run the ball?
Yeah, it's a spread offense, and that's kind of what the NFL has become. If you can't spread them out and throw the pill all over the field, then you're not going to have the most success. You get a good ground and pound game in Tennessee, and they brought in Julio to try to open things up for their passing game, and it may work. I know it should be an easy access for him, especially with having Henry running the ball the way he's running it. Every other team that's known for who is Cleveland. That's what we open with.
Yep.
They have a two-headed monster in the backfield, and I think both of those guys ran for 1,000 yards each. But you also have two really good receivers that have made All-Pro. When Odell got hurt, the other guy stepped in and played just as good. So, a lot of teams are opening to spread you out. So the nickel package, you have got to have a great third corner, and that's why they're getting paid so much nowadays too. Because nickels weren't really a high-paid position, but it is now because it's a definite need.
What is more difficult for a cornerback when you have to go up against someone like Tyreek Hill, that blazing speed, the athletic jumping ability, or someone like Julio Jones, 6'3", also quick? What was more difficult? Put in your shoes, which is a tougher matchup?
Smaller guys.
Really?
The smaller guys are quick at the line of scrimmage. For me, I was a big corner. And if you can't jam a receiver at the line of scrimmage, for me, I didn't have 4.3 speed. I didn't have 4.2 speed. I was a 4.4 on my best day. I was a supposed big physical corner, so my thing was playing at the line of scrimmage. And if I couldn't get my hands on you, most of the guys that are 4.3, 4.2, that's an advantage for them. So you get a guy like Tyreek Hill that's quick at the line of scrimmage, that's got the lower weight speed. You have to play him physical at the line of scrimmage, but none of the guys can really get hands on him. And when you don't get hands on him, you have to double coverage. And if you don't double coverage him, Kelsey's going to eat you up, or third and fourth receiver is going to also come in, and second and third receiver is going to come in and take advantage of that. So we have a great core in our skill position. And I think it's easy for whoever that's going to come in to fulfill the need that we lost with Sammy Watkins. I think McCole Hardman and Pringle and Robinson, those guys can fill that position easily because all the attention is going to be on Hill and Kelsey. So when you got that kind of speed, that kind of quickness, and that kind of playmaking ability, and that's with both of those guys, because we see what Kelsey's done. He's putting up wide receivers numbers, so you can't just put a safety on him and think that you're okay. So that second position for the receivers should be an easy fit, and whoever that takes it should have a lot of success.
So McCole Hardman fits into that mold that you just mentioned, the shorter, shifty, extremely quick guy. What is his next step in his development? Is it route running? Is it just getting more time in the Chiefs system? I understand Chiefs fans have been extremely tough on McCole because you see some of the guys have gone after him. I don't think it's completely fair to McCole Hardman because when you see DK Metcalf, that wasn't on the Chiefs' radar. They thought at the time it was a Tyreek Hill insurance policy. So I think McCole's kind of gotten the short end of the stick here, but he also hasn't lived up to the second-round tender. What do you think is the next step for McCole Hardman?
I mean, I keep up with these guys on social media, and I know he said he's been watching Jalen Ramsey. Right now I think is one of the top corners, and he watches his cover skills. The thing with McCole, he doesn't create much separation from corners, and I think he's got to learn how to use his speed, his size, and quickness to get separation from certain routes. That's what Tyreek does, and I think that with Tyreek, 6-7 years in the league for Tyreek Hill, I think he has that leadership role within him now to show these guys like how I use my speed and my quickness and my size also to create separation. You know, yes, I can outrun most guys, but I do know at certain, whether the ball's on the hash, in the middle of the field, whatever route I need to run, how to use my speed and quickness to create separation. And that's the thing with Mecole Hardman, is he doesn't create a lot of separation. I think he's just out there running the route as they're supposed to be ran. Now, granted, yes, you should know that, but also within the speed of the game, you have to know how to create separation in order to create yardage and completions down the field.
We're speaking with former Chiefs defensive back Eric Warfield here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's the program. My name is Brad Porter, in for Seren Petro. Sterling Holmes is here in studio as well. Nathan Wilhelm is running the show. And Eric is part of a podcast called Chief Concerns, which he does with former Chiefs defensive end Jason Dunn and hosted by Marcus Dash. It's always good stuff. I encourage you to look for it. It's usually posted on Twitter. They send out usually a short clip to tease you, and then you go get the longer clip and get the whole show. So, Eric, as we're on the verge of getting ready to open the 2021 season, I'm looking at, and I've asked a couple of guests today about this, I'm looking at how the season starts, and as opposed to players and coaches, you and I and Sterling and Nathan can look well past the first game. So your first three in order: home against Cleveland, on the road against Baltimore, and back home against the Chargers with one of the top rising quarterbacks in the league. But that is a tough way to open the season. I still think the Chiefs have a good chance to get through it 3-0, but I'm not going to be surprised if one of them gets dropped. And I'm not going to say it's the Browns, because I don't think they lose this game to the Browns. But if they happen to drop one to, if I happen to drop one to the Chargers, I lost my spot. The Chargers or the Ravens, then that would not totally surprise me.
Okay, if by any chance we lose a game in that first three games, I would probably say it would be the Browns. Now, granted, okay, I know it's a home game, and I hate to say that, especially with our fans behind us, and everything else that comes within. I guess I can't call it Arrowhead Stadium anymore. But I don't think that that'll hold anything against us for what we are as a unit and for what we're set out to accomplish. They're a young team. I think they've added the right pieces to that team by adding Clowney. Although, Clowney hasn't put up the numbers that everybody thought he was going to do. A lot of that's due to injury, but he's still a great player. And you team him with Myles Garrett, you have yourself a pretty good duo of defensive ends coming at, putting pressure on the quarterback. Their secondary, I think their defense overall is probably top 5, top 10. I'm not sure where their rankings are, but they are really good. Now, yes, they're going up against our offense, so I think we can put up points on any defense. Now, granted, take the Super Bowl out for what we did due to an unhealthy offensive line. But if we have everybody healthy, chemistry there, I don't see anybody that can stop us. But if there was anybody, I don't think Baltimore has what it takes to beat us. I think we've shown that over the last couple of years, even with Lamar Jackson and his phenomenal ability, they just can't beat us. I do like Herbert. It is Herbert, right?
Yep.
I said that right. I like what he's doing. I thought they fired the head coach a bit too soon, but I'm not the GM. I'm not the owner to say what they can and can't do. Keenan Allen's a really good receiver, but overall, I don't think they have enough to beat us. So those two games, I can't see us losing. If that's a big if I see us losing anything, it would have to be Cleveland. But I got us going 3-0 with that, though.
I think maybe you and I are. You're younger than me, but we're kind of in that age when you see Justin Herbert's name, I think of Bobby A. Bear from the old New Orleans Saints quarterback. So I'm tempted to say A. Bear because they're spelled just about the same. All right, hey, Eric, final question for you. University of Nebraska, your alma mater. Things did not go well over the weekend, losing to Illinois 30-22. Eric, what in the hell happened?
I can't point the finger at anything for us.
Okay.
I just thought that offensively we don't really have an identity. We don't know if we're going to be a spread offense or we're like Baltimore Ravens. We want the quarterback to drop back. If he doesn't see anything within the first window, he takes off running. Or if we don't really have the running back to rush. And right now, I think within the first two games, our quarterback has got the most rushing attempts in both games. And you don't ever want to see that. I know he's rushing for 100 yards in both games, but two of those runs in each game has been 70-plus yards, which is good. But still, you don't want your quarterback having more rushing attempts than your running back. But then that goes to show that we don't have a good running game. And I don't know if you blame that on the offensive line, if you blame it on the running backs or what. But the thing that disappoints me most is that, it's hard taking over for what Coach Osborne and Bob Devaney did for fans way back in the day. And I think that the fans are so spoiled to where we won so much, and right at the end of, basically my career there in Nebraska was the last year we won a championship, that's what they're accustomed to, that's what they're used to. And the bad thing, like it's now, when you go to recruit, these kids weren't even born when we won national championships. There's nothing that, that you can recruit to, hey, we won these championships, because they don't know this. So you got to relate to the kids and figure out a way to get some of those. And I don't want to say that we don't have the athletes, because I think we do have really good athletes, because I see a lot of us that are playing on NFL teams. And for whatever reason, we're just not coming to fruition in college. And yes, I know there's better coaches at the professional league that get the most out of kids. But if we're getting these kind of kids and they're going on to NFL teams, I would love to see their highest productivity at Nebraska. I mean, it sucks having to see our team, well, my team, not being able to play in a bowl game. I can't tell you the last time we've been in a bowl game. But yeah, we have so much pride, and we think every year, kind of like the Cowboys fans, that everybody down here in Dallas thinks the Cowboys go to the Super Bowl every year. So we at Nebraska, we think every year we're going to make a bowl, and we don't. So it's disappointing, it's frustrating, but hopefully we can turn it around after this win that we had this weekend.
Well, Eric, I can't tell you enough. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us, coming right off the golf course to join us on the radio. And I'll just let you go on a positive note. I've been telling people the last couple of weeks with the roster cutdowns, whether you were undrafted or drafted late, you never know what's going to happen. You were a seventh-round pick, and you played 8 years in the National Football League. It just goes to show you can be first round, you can be seventh round, and generally the first-rounders are going to have better careers, but you never know, and you're living proof of that. Eric, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much for having me on, man.
All right. That is Eric Warfield, former Chiefs defensive back. One of my favorite guys to cover back in the day when I was at Metro Sports. He was talkative and thoughtful. He is thoughtful and talkative, but in the locker room, good stuff.